Yes, we are live. Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome back, Adam. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are yourself?
I'm really happy because today, every day there is a new version of After Effects. As the time of this recording, just a few hours ago, a couple of hours ago, Adobe slowly is porting 24.5. Maybe in the future, when you see this, it is an ancient version, but today it's a new thing. So for me, it's a Festivus day.
So I heard someone got their YouTube video sort of outlining the updates that are in the new version of After Effects. I mean, who beat everyone to the post there? Was that wasn't you, was it, Ron?
Yeah, it's an unknown. Yeah, someone who looks exactly like me and has the same handle. So yes.
You need to look into that. Take that video down for copyright infringement. But
Oh, definitely. So if you want to know everybody, let's do a shameless promotion just because you brought it up. If you want to know everything about it in less than 5 minutes, then you know where to go. It's the same place that you are watching right now. But today we are doing something else. We also have Diego with us. If you want, you can say hi. It's totally up to you, but he's here. Um,
he's shy.
he's shy. Can you hear us, Diego?
I can hear you. Yes. Hi, 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 hi. How's everyone
Yeah,
doing?
yeah,
I think
we
I
can
was
hear you as well. I can hear you, so it means that all the other people in the room can hear you.
can hear my magnificent voice. Yes. How's everyone doing?
They're all good.
Waiting
They're all good, and they're really
anxiously.
excited to see what we're going to do with camera tracking. I'm speaking on their behalf. Until they start commenting, I'm just going to speak for you. So that's why you should start commenting on the live stream. By the way.
I'm excited for it. It'll be exciting. Let's see what you come up
So,
with.
so Ron, what are we dealing with today?
I was about to ask you the same thing, but I will answer just because
Oh,
so
I can answer.
nicely, so polite.
No,
We are actually going.
please. Yeah, you go first. You go first.
I'll go first, but you are going to actually be the first one who was showing us. We are going to tackle
Mm.
tracking in After Effects. So both of us will take a shot, track it, and try to breathe some life into it. We'll hopefully go through some challenges and show you a few ways how to solve it. Sometimes we won't be able to solve. It's going to be a red banner. We're going to gloriously fail. Maybe not, maybe yes. So hopefully there's something for everyone here. We are opening. We are opening now, but we are open for your feedback. So please, if you're watching live on YouTube or on other platforms, um, voice your concerns. Let us know what you want us to cover. If you have any questions, we are here for you. And with that said, are you ready to start the process on your screen?
Yeah, I don't know how many platforms we're streaming on exactly, but anyone watching on Social, we're not going to accept your comments. So anywhere apart from that. So I don't know what Iran has planned, but I very lazily just walked around the corner and shot some footage, literally on my street. So that's what I've shot that on my phone, and I've already brought it into After Effects, and the first thing I'm going to do is sort of trim the work area down because when you're shooting footage, your own footage, track camera, the camera sort of data, it's a good idea to just shoot more than you need, and then you can just trim it. So you got handles on the footage. So this is me literally right outside my house, walking down the street. Anyone who wants to stalk me, just feel free to just search Street View, and after maybe 10 years of searching, you'll find this exact street in southeast London. There you go. I've narrowed it down for you. So I've got an idea for what I want to do, which is, and I think I'm going to start it here because I want the idea for the animation is that I'm walking along and then I look up at this building. So I think I'm going to start it about here. So B for beginning of work area there. And because we don't want After Effects to be bothering to track more than it needs to, because it's going to take a little while. And then it's looking up to the building. And so I see this building pretty much every day. Unless I just don't leave the house or look out the window. But what kind of inspired me, I guess, was the kind of the grid nature of the windows on this building, and I thought, okay, I can do. I think it might be Kevin Parry and Chargo. You might be able to help with this, but I think he's a pretty popular social media guy who does like it's a mix of motion graphics and VFX, I'd say, and that's kind of what I'm looking to do here, which is there's going to be no typography, there's going to be no text layers. It is literally the idea is I kind of swipe off the windows. So
Adam, can you just play the shot? Like, let us see it maybe in full screen so we can see.
Yeah, okay, hold on. I won't play the whole thing. I'll play it from here. Let me just put a layer marker in there. So yeah, my hand comes up, and then I sort of swipe off. I was oblivious to any funny looks I was getting. There's a lady here walking past, probably wondering what the hell I'm doing. But yeah, so I swipe off one window, two windows, three windows, and then the payoff to the animation is at the end. I'm just like, oh, I'm going to swipe off all the windows. Okay, so let's track the camera. But I'm going to at the end. I want like a couple of seconds at the end. Like the payoff is all the windows are gone and it's like a clean building. So maybe after that, I'll just scrub through to say here, and that'll be the end. So N, B, trim common to work area. Then, so Eran, I understand that Eran is using the same principle for tracking his camera. I'm not sure, but I don't have a lot of experience tracking cameras, tracking footage in After Effects, but whenever I've done it, it's always been fun. But I haven't used Mocha or Mocha. Haven't used any other software to track cameras. I've always just used the inbuilt After Effects tracking. So I'm going to right click and track and stabilize, track camera. It's going to start, but because I know that this footage is problematic, I'm going to just toggle down to advanced and just go detailed analysis and just hope that that helps with it. That's going to take a little while. So I'm going to hand over to Eran, and he's going to show you his footage.
Not before I'm going to show you this one.
My experiments did not turn out quite like yours.
So yes, we have now... From
Amazing.
time to time. Would you like to comment on that? This is courtesy of your second host, not me.
No, please. By the way, if you recognize any of these film clips, some of them are quite deep cuts. That one, not so much. Please, I would be thrilled if you commented just to shout out, "Hey, I recognize that film clip," because that's new for this episode. Is Eran VJing and adding in random little film clips, which I love.
Wow.
Exactly. So I'll try my best to push some buttons and see how well it goes. At least we'll have fun with it. I hopefully. So while Adam's machine is processing behind the scenes or in the background, I'll show you my starting point. So let's just maximize it. And again, just because I must show you, this is the new version. So yeah, so excited. By the way, if you can't see it on your end, Adobe is slowly shipping it, so yeah, check for updates, and then it's really a big deal. And we actually I'll use some of the new features here. But anyhow, this is a clip that my friend Yishai Shapir shot, and I called it Long Island because it's actually in Long Island, and it was shot using a drone. So it's not an AI; it's a real person who did it. And it's also, I think it's GoPro or something really distorted. So this is like the first challenge when you're doing like, those visual effect stuff. It's also quite a long shot. So it's 10 seconds. May take some while to do it. But before adding anything, I think I need to unstretch it. So like undistorted. And the best, there's like, a handful of ways to do it built into After Effects. My favorite is optic compensation. Obviously, there are third-party tools that can do it for you. So Red Giant VFX Suite has this really cool tool. But if you can't afford it, if you don't have the budget, then I think the first move is just to apply optic compensation. And I think that what I need to do is actually reverse the lens distortion. So I'm just going to start and drag it. Now, obviously, I'm going to lose some pixels. But to be honest, I don't plan to put anything on the side. So it's a price that I'm willing to pay. Also, notice the amount of motion blur that we have here. So this is something that we need to worry about when we are matching stuff. So if I want the After Effects camera tracker to take under account this treatment that I did, what I need is, of course, to take this comp, or I can pre-comp the entire thing, but I'm just going to take this comp and I'm going to name it whatever I want. Maybe Long Island 2 is a great name. And this now becomes my source. Now, I'm not sure if you know, this is an obscure fact, so it can win you at least 100 points, or maybe 0. And I'm not sure if you know about pointless, so this is a UK joke. Anyhow, you can call the After Effects camera tracker 4 different ways. There are 4 different ways. We are stretching time here. So you can go with the perspective option, and here it is. This is one way. Another way is right-click on the shot and then track and stabilize. Of course, you can go to the effect menu and look for it over there. And the 4th way, which is my favorite for whatever it's worth, is to go under animation and apply the track camera. And this is like the longest way to apply this effect, just because we want to make sure that you're not going to move your mouse too much. So we're giving you options here in this stream. It's not just a regular stream. This is also saving you some headache and exercise. So now After Effects is going to start doing its thing. This is the really interesting part of the stream. When we get to watch paint dry. So it is slowly going to choke through these frames. And depending on, the complexity of the shot and the amount of frames that you have, I'm talking through it. I'm just trying to add some narration. But maybe this is...
My God, how boring.
Yeah. So
Nice.
very boring process, but you need to go through it.
I only
Sorry,
created those drops purely for Iran's sections, just so everyone knows.
This is what
I'm glad they came in useful.
Yeah. I mean, every time. This is what I love with Adam's video. If you haven't got a chance to see Adam's tutorials, go ahead to the Video Shop London, not the other one, and make sure to see them because it's just hilarious. I'm just using it, but he knows exactly the correct one to use. So
this is from someone who spends his life watching films rather than honing his skills at motion graphics, basically. So.
We are here to entertain, right? The category is entertainment, I think, for this live stream and for our channel. So we need to entertain at some point.
My CV says film nerd, then underneath that motion designer ? So yeah.
Exclamation mark. Anyhow, I want to call your attention to the most important fact after you finish with the 3D camera tracker, assuming you are getting like a result which is not a red banner, because sometimes there will be things which is going to obscure it. So the first thing you need to check, and this is also appearing on the info panel, but the default arrangement of After Effects, the info panel is not there. So go ahead and open the advanced and have a look at the average error, right? So this is the first thing that you want to check. Anything below 1 means that you have a decent track. So this is the accuracy, meaning that if I'm going to place anything on the scene or in the scene, it's going to be under, in my case, 0.7 pixels. And this is something the human eye, for the most cases, will not be able to spot, right? So it looks like it is a good solve. If you don't get this, one way to work around it is to try the detail analysis. Another way, by the way, to solve it is maybe change the auto detect. So right now the camera is moving. So anytime you are seeing something which is moving in the scene, probably the best tool for the project is the camera tracker. If you want to replace a screen or you just want to attach something to something, then I suggest to go either with the built-in After Effects tracker or with Mocha, which is a different kind of, let us know if you want us to cover Mocha in a future episode. We are not going to delve into Mocha right now. Anyhow, so just verify, and you can sometimes get better results when you are changing this. So sometimes After Effects is not going to detect the correct one, and you can switch it from whatever typical to something that you think will work. So this is my second tip. And of course, you can also block areas. Now, the third tip, and this is where I'm going to almost finish with the first step here, is to identify more or less the center of your world. Now, since this is moving, and I want to place something over here, maybe a 3D model, and I also want to place something over here, maybe another 3D model, who knows? I know. And also something on this, how do you call it? Port, bench? What is the official word for this green thing here? You told me before, I can't remember it.
Jetty.
Jetty, that's it.
Yeah, I think it's a jetty. I'm not sure if that's different when it's rock, but again, maybe a cleverer viewer will chime in on that.
I'll try to
so
do a
I'm going to
Google
call it
for
jetty.
it.
It's so nice. So anyhow,
Thanks,
what?
okay.
I'll click over here when I think it is more or less in the middle of my tracking. So in my case, it's 4 seconds, probably 5 will be better, but this is going to be like the center of my world. So the first thing I'll do is right click on it. And before creating anything, I'm going to set ground, plane, and origin. Now, the problem with After Effects Tracker is that it doesn't have any idea about real-world measurements, and sometimes you're going to get weird results. So there are like scripts, a free script actually, that can help you to remedy this. I'm not going to use it, but I will mention it here. Hopefully I have it installed. Let me see. Probably it stares at my face and I can't see it. So it's just, I'll show it to you later. It's the one from my dear friend Hashi that came up with it. It's normalized the tracking, and this is really cool when you want to bring 3D elements into your tracking, and you should definitely try it. But for now, I'm just going to stick with After Effects Vanilla. So I'm not going to do anything except of what I just showed you. So I'm resetting the ground plane, and now I can add basically an element. So to be honest, the first time I'm going to do it, I'm probably going to just settle with a null and a camera, unless I want to create some text on the screen or a solid or whatever. But let's just start with creating a null and a camera. This is going to place this null over here, and this is also going to help me to judge if this is in the right direction. Maybe I need to change or switch the orientation. And by the way, I set mine world axis mode to the second thing here. So there, you've got a couple of options. You've got the local one, which looks like this. So notice that now the Z or Z, or let me,
What makes you think you
number
know?
one, it was the wrong one. So hopefully, sorry. I'll return back and I'll do the joke again. So instead of Z or Z,
Kneel before Zod!
you can, of course, use something from the DC world. Anyhow, so back to After Effects, the Z or Z or Zod is pointing in the wrong direction. And this can happen to you every time you are doing something with the After Effects tools in 3D space. Again, After Effects doesn't have a clue what's the real world coordinates. So I'm just setting mine to world axis mode, which means every single object will just go into align itself automatically to left and right X, up and down Y, and closer to us or furthest away from us Z. And with that, I think I'm going to switch to Adam's screen, and let's see what you are cooking for us.
Okay, so switching to my screen, what's happened is my track hasn't worked out, and I've got some nice tracking points here, which is great if I want to put something on the floor, some text on the floor, or maybe someone's drawn some hopscotch on the floor. Do we know? Is that universal hopscotch? Does everyone know what that is? What I'm talking about? Is that just me?
I don't know. You may need to
Okay,
explain
all right.
it.
I
No
don't think
idea.
I don't think I'm going to spend time explaining it, but viewers can Google hopscotch and see what that is. But as soon as we get over here, I've just got massive target size. Track point sizes, which I mean I can reduce them here with the track point size, but I don't know. It's just going a bit crazy, and like here, it's just kind of unmanageable. Even if I set this to like 5, but actually, do you know what? Now that I've said that, I might just sort of chance my luck because it hasn't actually said that it's failed to solve the camera. It's just given me this massive tracking points. What I always try to do is like whatever surface that I'm sort of replacing. So let's wait before my stupid sort of hand gets in the way. What I'm looking for is ideally like corner points that I can shift select, and maybe when my hand gets out of the way, I might be able to manage that. So what if we drop this to 2? Okay, I mean, this is so... It's so close. I should have held on it.
Well, Adam is there processing. Just for I did actually search hopscotch, and it's
Oh,
very
thank you.
interesting.
Okay.
It's the game you draw in the floor and then you kind of skip between the squares. I think it's a very universal thing. Just for the people that don't actually know.
Thank you for that. Okay, so I'm not having... Basically, I'm just not having much luck getting the tracking point. So what I'm going to do instead, and that's the thing, it's not an exact science tracking footage, but I think what's thrown off is my hand being in the way. So I'm kind of creating like a junk mat, which is just masking out my hand, and then I'm going to try tracking that instead. But before I hand over to Eran, what I've already done is exported a couple of frames from the animation. So this is a frame just before my hand comes in to do the finger swipe thing, and the next one is before my hand sort of swipes all the windows away. And the reason I'm doing 2 is because the lighting, I know it seems subtle, but the lighting is kind of just slightly different on the windows. So what that means is all I need to do is swap out these 3 windows here when I do 1, 2, 3. And then when I get to the next frame, just replace all of these. So I kind of need 2 clean plates. So I've given myself, I'll be honest, I've given myself a lot to do in the time that we have. And we've actually only got an hour. Chargo, how long have we, just little time check, how long have we got left?
You have 39 minutes.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm definitely going to hand over to Eran while I finish. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove my hand from the equation and see if I get a better track from it.
All right. What I would like you to do as a viewer,
I feel a lot of love in this room.
is show Adam how good he is by like commenting or asking him questions or just give some love.
Or just heckling me. Yeah, just heckle me. Yeah, just tell me what I'm telling them to. Yeah, just tell me what I'm doing. At the moment, I will take any human interaction. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to. It's going to be a slow start for this live stream. So our expectations are like, we're going to win you over slowly. So this is only our second episode, but it's going to be great. We're off to a great start.
Oh yeah. No, I think so. I mean, look, if anyone wants to suggest to me, hey, I think a better idea, Adam, is if you don't swipe off the windows, and if you do something else, I'm open to that because honestly, I know how long it's going to take to create a clean version and swipe off these windows. So if anyone wants to throw me a curveball and say, hey, put a fun emoji on the side of this building, I'm 100% up for that.
Hen just said that you're doing a great job. So he said good, not great, but
Yeah, I think Hen is a
you're
she, by
doing
the
a
way.
good job.
I'll take great. Sorry, good. I'll take good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Sorry, I did distort the comment in there.
So meanwhile, I've located. Let's just we need credit when it's due. Two models from our favorite website, which is sketchfab.com, of course. So
We love Sketchfab.
this one of a wreck sheep or whatever, green. I can't even read it. Green heights. From Art Flash.
So,
this is the important.
Green Hive. That's a place in London, not far from me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's.
So do you recognize? Do you recognize this? Maybe this is the ship your ancestor came in.
It's very strange that there's a barge wreck called Greenhithe because, as far as I know, there's no canals around Greenhithe. I could be wrong, and even if there were, I don't think there'd be a whole barge wreck. But I can confirm that Greenhithe is a place in South London. So yeah, maybe that's where whoever created that model. That's where they live. Who knows?
It looks like a 3D scan, by the way, and we're actually going to be there tomorrow, right? So we're going to check the facts and come back with more.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, you're right. We're not far from Greenhithe. We're going to. Should we shout out the Open Festival to viewers?
Oh yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah. If anyone wants to. Yeah. You can't get tickets. Apparently, you can't get tickets now. I think Eran actually snapped up the last ticket, but there's a thing called Open Festival, which is in it's Greenwich. Yeah, so Greenwich. I think Ravensbourne is based in Greenwich, and so that's tomorrow. It's a 2-day motion design festival, and anyone who's going and who's got a ticket already, me and Eran will be there. So
yeah. Well, I can't find the link. I'll show it later. Anyhow, we are just talking too much. So I found this anchor, and my idea, a rusty one, and by fellow EM. So yeah, this is all I wanted from this website, just to give them credit. So my idea here is to literally create an anchor point animation. So I'm going to place some letters anchor on the what did the name is? I totally forgot. Jetty on the jetty.
Yeah.
And then I plan to add the anchor over here. So this should be this one. I already placed a null object, and this is really important when you want to marry elements. I'm going to show it to you in a moment, but you should create an anchor point, not an anchor point, a null object at the place that you want. I'm going to deal with the compositing stage in a moment. It doesn't look good yet. And then marry it using the shift parent. So let's say that the anchor should be somewhere over here. I'll return back to the comp that has the effect. So this is really important. By the way, if you can't see those little markers or trackers, you can scale the track point size. This is just utility. Also, the colors doesn't mean anything. Just click to select something, and then usually what I'll do, I'll just return it back to 100%. Otherwise, they are going to be huge, which makes it go away at the same time. So I'm just going to redo it again. Right click and create a null. And now I'll return back to the project and bring back the anchor, which is, I brought back the same thing. So stupid. All right, so now this is it. I'm going to name this anchor null, whatever. And then I'll select the rusty anchor model, hold down shift and parent it to this area. And this is going to bring and place it in the correct spot. Now, obviously the scale is wrong, but luckily it's also inheriting the anchor point for the anchor. How about that? It is so confusing. So I'm just going to scale it and move it, and you can do it either by moving your, your model or your, of course, null object, because they are basically connected. And it should stick to the point. Now, obviously, we need to do some masking and roto work, but let's just leave it like this for the time being. And we also, I think I want to just place it like, put it into the ground. So I'll need to figure out how to do this. And this is what I'll do now. I think I'll start by trying to just mask the parts that I need to hide. So all of these rocks, let's do this using the roto brush tool. Thank you so much, Fen. I'm just going to bring her comment on screen because she's telling me, at least, and of course Adam, that we're doing an awesome job. So yeah, thank you so much. See, if you are with us, you're going to see your name live on the stream. How fun this is.
But only if
okay.
your name doubles as a bird.
Oh, definitely. So I'll try to do it as fast as I can. But what I'll do, I'll duplicate this. I'll bring it over here, and I'll set the opacity to 50%. And the reason is that I just want to take the necessary part, so I don't need the entire clip. So this will probably going to be the last point that I need to hide. So I'll trim it, and basically from the start. So we'll need to try and rotoscope it from the start. I'll start from the middle here, and I'll take away the 3D camera effect from this one. And the reason is that it is just going to blow up the project size on disk. And this is going to be really boring stuff again. So anytime you are ready, let me know and we're going to switch to your screen. But to use the roto brush tool, we need to actually work on the footage itself. I'll set it back to 100%. The problem is if I double click, I'm going to get, in most cases, I'm going to get into the comp. So you need to Option or Alt double click it. Just, in case you are wondering. And then I'll try the AI magic and see if After Effects can help me. I don't think it needs to be perfect. I think it needs to be good enough. So let's see how well this does on its own. I'm probably taking too much stuff over here, but just to be on the safe side, let's also take this rock and not this one. And this is going to be my anchor point for the propagation of this clip. And I'm just going to be brave / stupid and press spacebar and see what it can come up with on its own. So it will take a moment to initiate. Nothing is stuck here. This is just the way the new machine learning or AI tool works. And now when it figures out what it needs to do, it will start to do its magic. And if you think that it doesn't work, I mean, my recommendation is to stop it the minute you see that it doesn't work and exclude the parts which are unnecessary and then continue to propagate. Otherwise, you're just going to suffer in the future, which means that you need to do it manually probably. So once it's finished this side, it's going to go the other way around. And I'm just going to wait for it because really it's not such a big deal. And we'll see how well it does on its own. It's very flickering, but I think that if we return back to this comp, it should look decent enough in terms of what we need. I mean, obviously the edges are not the best in the world, but we may be able to fix some of it with the reduced shutter. This is something worth trying, and maybe shifting the edge. So I can continue fiddling with it. Are you ready to show us your progress right now?
Yeah, no, I think I'm ready. So yeah, you can switch over.
I'll also say that's 30 minutes, Adam.
Well, Adam and Eran, not just me. We both have 30 minutes. So yeah, thank you.
True.
Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, so I actually did the roto in out the hand. Well, a junk mat on the hand method. That didn't work, but I've got something which hopefully will work, because basically whenever you're whenever you're trying to sort of create a camera and solid, you're looking for the perspective of the target here. And so what you can do is you've got your camera tracker and the track points sort of, turn on and off. But I'm just gonna lasso all the ones, or most of the ones that are on the side of this, and the perspective of that looks to me like sort of broadly the same as the side of the building. We can always move it, so I'm going to right click and go create solid and camera. And okay, the perspective of that solid is totally off, but I don't think it'll matter, because as long as it's sticking to the side of the building, that's fine. So yeah, I've got a lot to do, but so what I'm going to do is go after rotation and then just adjust the orientation first of all. So I'm going to drop the opacity so I can see what I'm doing as well. And even though it's off to the left, that doesn't matter, because I can just drag, grab this handle here, move across. And Chargo, as you remember when we did camera tracking, just don't scale it. So do not be tempted to do this, because we want to replace what's on the side of the building. So I'm going to go into the comp settings, solid settings. So Shift Control Y, and so I've got a square. It's giving me a square solid. So I'm just going to bump up the height. And actually, I've shot this like portrait mode. I generally don't shoot stuff portrait mode, but it's a block of flats. It was kind of like the perfect ratio to shoot this. So actually, I think probably like 1080 by 1920 is probably the way to go in terms of ratio. So if I OK that, now I'll scale it up, but I'm proportionally scaling it. And so all I'm trying to do is just kind of match it. And as long as it covers what I want to get rid of. So in this case, I want to get rid of those 3 windows and then the rest. And actually, I think given what I've shot, I'm going to leave that top window. Maybe even leave the bottom windows, because I've noticed that there's a lamppost there. Like cutting the lamppost out and stuff, that's going to be a faff. So let's just save ourselves some work and leave that in place. So so now I'm just going to scrub through, and before I do anything, I just want to check that that's sticking to where I want it. So it doesn't matter, like from here to there, it doesn't matter, because nothing's being animated. And with the hand coming up, actually, that's quite a nice magician sleight of hand trick, because as soon as the hand comes into play, you're not going to be studying the build. You're going to be momentarily distracted by the hand. So we can maybe swap out the windows here, because what we need like a clean plate with these windows cut out, which I haven't even got to yet. Anyway, so let's just preview this very quickly, and I'm just looking for any kind of anomalies. So let's just preview that. I'm going to turn the audio off because I don't need that for now, but we are going to deal with audio later. So there's like you may not notice it on this stream. I don't know whether the viewers have noticed this, but it's kind of fine until we get to here. And then it just kind of gives up. So look, there's these little jitters. Now you could retrack it, but it's almost just like a single frame here and there. So it kind of moves. Like there. There's just like one frame where it's just out. So I'm just going to go, just to fix that, I'm going to press U and just make sure that I'm on the, so there, just where it jitters. Literally just delete. I think that's just After Effects just getting bored, kind of, you know, giving up a little bit. And there's another one here. May not even need the handles of this shot, but, and I won't do this for the whole shot, but what I'll do when I hand over shortly is just double check and just getting rid of any of those rogue frames where it's doing that. But otherwise, that looks pretty good. So now, what I need to do is like create like sort of a clean side of the building where there's no windows, and like obviously sort of like Photoshop generative fill would be my go-to to do that now. But what it's given me is I sort of lassoed it and then asked it to do some generative fill, which just gave me windows instead. I even said remove windows, just brick, generate, and it just gave me windows. So don't tell Eran, but I'm going to cheat. I'm going to cheat a little bit and use one that I prepared earlier, which actually isn't pixel perfect, but I'm going to thank Jason. So one of the students on the current course that I'm teaching kind of prepared this for me when we were doing camera tracking. So thank you, Jason, for this. So I'm going to bring this in and now kind of use that as like a clean plate. And there may be like a little bit of adjustment if the if the light changes, the perspective is changing slightly, but the important thing is to sort of get that sort of masked on top. So I've got my solid here, and if I pop that into a new comp, and I'll call this I don't know, wall replace. Okay. Then now there's going to be an issue because obviously this solid that's on the side is like square and the perspective is correct. But if I'm taking a still that's got perspective, I need to sort of like correct it. So I'm going to have to use like CC corner pin to do that. But let's bring this in. So I know roughly it needs to have no perspective broadly. Okay. And the easiest way to do this is, and this might be a bit fiddly, and this might be where I'll hand back over to Eran, because it could be a bit time consuming, is if I'm using the corner pin tool here, and let's just quickly, it's going to be something like this, but it's going to need quite a lot of like micro adjusting. Oh.
I'm with you, but I'm also doing some stuff. So this is the reason I'm not dropping anything. I'm just working at the same time, trying to.
I'm so glad you're not dropping that so boring from Jane Fonda clip from. My
God, how boring!
That one, yeah. I'm glad you're not dropping that as you dropped it. Okay, so I'm not gonna spend ages on this, but let me just quickly for you, because some viewers might not know, but if you want to adjust something in one comp and see how it's affecting another comp, okay. So we've got we've got the wall replace here. So if I turn off the the clean version and just leave that green thing in here, and like we might have anything here. I mean, it would be a lot easier. My task would be a lot easier if I just had like text that was going on the side of the wall, because because you're creating a clean version, it needs to be pixel perfect. And I mean, trust me, I realized that when I when I started working on this. I was like, oh, not as simple as I thought, but I never give up. There's always a solution. So yeah, anyway, so text. Okay, so we've got text here, and then I'm gonna drag that comp, and that comp's the same dimensions as the solid, so 1080 by 1920. So if I drag that over, Alt, replace it, we've now got text on the side of the building. We've got green, but obviously we can turn the green off. We've got hey, look, we've got text on the side of the building now. But we want this, don't we? We want a clean version of the side of the building. And look, it's close, but it's not quite there. So to do that, what I'm going to do is drop the opacity here, just so I can sort of overlay the two. Then I'm going to go back here and go new viewer up here. And the live mode, build-in swipe. Okay, I'm going to lock that so that it doesn't. So I can see what's happening there. So you need to go into the icon up here, lock that. Now I can go into the wall replace and wait. Okay, live mode lock. And then we'll replace. Okay. So now, for example, I can
All right, let me know if you want me to switch to my screen so I can show my progress.
Yeah, hold on one sec. Okay, all right, here we go. Sorry.
Wait. I'm having a thought. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I'm gonna have a thought. It's coming. It's gone.
Again, 10 points for anyone who can name that film. By the way, one of the first, before the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there was this film in 1990. Amazing color palette on that film, by the way. Yeah, Al Pacino. Oh, great cast in the film. Right. So yeah. Anyway, so just to show you, so to have two viewers open at the same time, you're adjusting one and you're seeing how it affects the other one, and that's how I'm going to manually match it. But trust me, this is a tedious, laborious process, and it's a good time to hand over to Eran.
All right. We'll do our best to finish within the next 10 minutes or so. How much time do we have? Yeah, something along those lines.
15 minutes around on my
15
my
minutes?
clock. Yeah, 14 technically.
Let's see where we
I'll
get.
give one.
15 minutes.
It'll be like the football game, right? I'll give you some extra time for the.
Oh, excellent! Our referee is giving us.
I don't. No. We don't need extra time. Penalty shootout. Because literally, you don't want the extra time to go into 5 hours. So yeah, no,
but we are in the group stage, so we can finish with tie. So it's totally okay. We don't need to go to penalty. Anyhow,
okay,
yeah. I mean, so let's see. I mean, this is what I came up with. This is just the settings, right? So I'm using Draft 3D, and I've placed this 3D text titles machine, just in case you really want to sync this font. This is available through Adobe Fonts, and I've placed them on the deck here. I just keep forgetting the name of it for some reason.
Jetty.
Jetty, that's it. So yeah, it's slowly choking through, and then this is like my poor roto work, and we are getting from anchor to point. Now I need to somehow resolve the shadows, obviously. So Draft 3D is not allowing us to render shadows, and also find a way to stick the anchor in the ground. I have an idea here. But since we are working with, or at least I'm working with the new version of After Effects, let me show you how to tackle this. So I've got this rec ship, and I've already prepared some layers here. So I've created a shadow catcher, basically just a solid, which is placed behind or underneath this rec ship. Let's just switch back the screen, not the screen, the renderer to Draft 3D. So you can see that this is allowing us to actually cut through the 3D model, which is great. Now, one way to work, first we can't see the shadows. I do have an environment light here. I am casting shadows, but for some reason I can't see them. So maybe I need to go, let's just reset it and start to see if we're going to move. This can happen sometimes. So we are seeing shadows, but I can't see the shadows on the plane. And this may have to do with the fact that maybe this is not casting shadow, it is casting shadows. All right, so I'm going to switch it back on. Maybe it's the render order. So let me see the shadow catcher. I need to make sure that they are inside the same 3D group. So let me bring the environment light underneath. Maybe this will help. It doesn't. So I'll try to open it again and play with the settings. And for some reason, I can't see the shadow on the ground. Another way to work around this, I'm just going to make sure that it is on top of the relevant layers, is to go and under renderer options. Let's wait for it to come. It will take some time. Sometimes you don't have enough resolution, or you need to just click on fit to screen. So this is another place to check why this doesn't work. Let's switch it to full and click OK. So for some reason it doesn't work, but it should work. And what I wanted to show you is actually that over here, cast shadow. Okay, this is the problem. Except shadows is turned off for some reason. Oh, now we have shadows. Now we are talking. At least I am talking. The quality is very poor right now, but I'm just using it for, for placing elements. So yeah, it's a user error, and we don't have warranty for user errors. So yeah, this is happening. But the big deal here is that with the new version, we can actually turn it to accept shadows. Sorry, go away. Only. Yes, and this is what I wanted. So we can't actually break the model, but we can see that the shadows are actually in the correct place. And if I'll maybe just play with it, just bring this rec over here. I think it's going to move so fast, it's going to be okay. We are looking at it from very close by. So now we have some contact shadows, which looks amazing. So I already prepare a shadow letters for the letters, and I can do the same thing basically. So if I'll open it up under the geometry, no, the material options, shadows is set to accept only, and of course we need to play with it, so it's going to look correct. Again, I will massage it a little bit more, and now I need to do the same thing for this. First, what I'm going to do is I have a point light here that I've attached to. I want to show you actually what I'm doing here. So I'll go and create a point light. Yeah, I deleted something. No. By mistake, I deleted the word points. But what I wanted to do is to actually select the word point, which is the layer, and then go and create a new point light. Everything is so literal here. So point light for the word point, I'm going to click OK. It's going to place it somewhere. I can't actually see it. So I'm going to hold down Shift and parent it to the letters. So now I know it's exactly in the same position, meaning that I can now play with the light and try to match the lighting here as best as I can. And of course, to sell this, I need to create a shadow catcher. So because I'm very economical, what I'll do is I'll use again the data that I got from the camera tracker. So I'll click somewhere over here and you can actually create the shadow catcher directly from the tool. So now I have a shadow catcher, which is again an invisible object that's supposed to catch shadows automatically. I'll place it in the correct place. And sometimes what we need to do is just verify that it is in the correct place. So I'll switch to Draft 3D for a moment and then change to Custom View 1. And I'll move my camera over here. Make sure that it is intersecting with the layer. I think it is. Maybe it needs to be a little bit lower in the scene. Yeah. Pressing Escape should bring it back. And then I'll place it under point. And again, the reason that I'm working like this is because you can see that I'm breaking the render order. Let's just go outside of Draft 3D. And by render order, I mean that I have a 2D layer here between those 3D layers. And I'm not sure if you remember, but this is a mandatory layer. This is what I created to block the rotor layer, to block the rocks. And if you have a 2D layer in between 3D layers, it means that it will break the render order. So now I can see the shadows, and of course I can play more with the shadow catcher layer. Maybe just scale it, and then of course I can also find a better angle for it. And I don't think that I'm matching the light correctly, so probably I need to go back to environment light. This is the only light that casts shadows currently, and play more with the angle. So maybe something like this. My shadow quality is very low, but to be honest, this is one of the things that I don't like with the new render, 3D render in After Effects. I don't think it is the best way, but you can get it to work. As you can see, I'm like massaging it to the correct light. I really want it to be under the letters, something like this, trying to mimic what I'm seeing on the scene. It's too dark, but again, we have a solution for that, because we can go to the shadow catcher layer and we can change the color. So I'll sample something from the scene. This really helps a lot. And if I want, I can also play with the light intensity by pressing T. And this is also going to affect the darkness of the shadow. So, you have a few options here. Let's just open it up so you can see you have cast shadows and then shadow darkness, which is actually what I wanted to play with, not the light intensity. All right, at the end, I'll get there, but it's very, very long process. So yeah, you
Hey,
need to
Aaron.
just, yeah, go ahead.
I was just giving the warning of 5 minutes left, technically.
All right,
so.
5 minutes. So I'll switch to Adam's screen and then I'll continue to do my best on my end.
Okay, talking of long processes, so Thiago, thank you for the time check. we need it. Let's see what Eran can do in 5 minutes. But so basically where I've got to is I've got a clean slate where I've adjusted the perspective using sort of corner pin. So I actually don't want, as a reference, I've got like the original here. So if we go back, if I turn it on and off, that's like a perfect match. And it took a little while. I've also used like curves to sort of adjust that. So now the next job is, so I've just isolated, because there's no point, there's no point in messing with the rest of the building, because there's going to be, I mean, if we look at the original, here we go, like sort of the original footage, the whole time the camera's moving around, it's subtle, but there is going to be sort of light shift and, sort of reflection on those windows, anything that we can keep as natural as possible. So there's no point replacing the whole building while the finger's just sort of, swiping off those particular windows. So that's why I've created a comp, and I've called it like just top 3 windows. That's not me ranking windows like I'm like I'm sort of, I walk past buildings and I'm just like, those are my favorite windows. So these are the top 3 windows, and so I've only got one here, as you can see, which is, and the reason for that is I've masked it off. So while Eran was yapping away, I've masked off. I've masked off what doesn't have window, and now what I'm ready to do is kind of the fun part, which is actually animate it. So I can position keyframe and then have it go off there. Use my trusty flow, but actually we kind of don't want like sort of a smooth ease in on this, because kind of we want it. We kind of want it to be almost like an app on your phone where you sort of you swipe off, and it's gonna be very quick. So I actually didn't kind of log those keyframes, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's definitely too slow. So it's probably something like this. I'll use that, and actually what I'll do is I'll leave the original on just to make sure that as it swipes off, it's not doing that, which is like sort of dropping down. So, and I've got, I've turned on motion blur. Can have a whole conversation. We could probably do a whole episode about motion blur, when you should have it on and off. But what we're dealing with is kind of like real life shot footage and kind of like really hacky, inept VFX in a really basic way. So in this case, like motion blur, yes, I would use it. It's always going to help, hopefully, cover up the cracks of the animation. So yeah, so that swipes off. And I'm just going to check the timing of that. And I've marked the... Okay, that's too soon. So I've used layer markers to mark where, my finger's sort of swiping off. So let me just preview this small portion. Go in, and yeah, I just need to move these keyframes back. And this is where I'd have like multiple viewers set up. But as you saw, it's a bit of a faff setting up like multiple viewers and then locking one view. So I'm not going to bother doing that here. So let's just check that again. Oh, give it to me! Okay, I'm really regretting giving you those clips to use now, Eran. But okay, so Thiago, just give us a time check.
You are out of time, technically.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so right, let me just do this. Okay, look, I've got one window swiping off. I've managed that. Okay.
Wow.
Thank you. Right, so I know that I've got one that I made. I've got one that I made earlier. By the way, I stole that audio clip. There's a really great podcast called 80s All Over. I'm a film nerd, so I need to give it a shout out. But it's called 80s All Over. It's by Drew McQueenie and Scott Weinberg. You can look it up. All the episodes are available. They're free. but they review every film that was released in the 80s month by month. And I'm not talking about films that like Gremlins and Ghostbusters, all the films you know. There are so many hidden gems. There are so many films in the 80s that you've never heard of. Anyway, they started the podcast. I think they realised that they bit off more than they can chew. A little bit like me and Eran during this stream, and they gave up. I think they gave up in like 1984, 85. But they got through so many films, and that was one of the sound bites they used, was like that wow thing, and I was just like, I love it. Anyway, but what I'll do is I'll hand back over to Eran, but with more time, I'll show you what I would have done. But for now, I'll hand back to Eran, and then I'll show you my project file for what I did before.
All right. So yeah, let's switch to my screen. I'll show you what I came up with, and also what I'm considered to be my final result. So there's a couple of things that I want to call out here. First, I'm using above everything the Real Smart Motion Blur. This is a third-party tool. Obviously, under time, you have CC Force Motion Blur as well as Pixel Motion Blur that you can use. Those are built-in options in After Effects. But this one is really worth your money, and it's so much faster. It's GPU accelerated, and it's really working smarter. You can feed it with vector files, and it doesn't blur the background so much. And I just want to show you the before and after. So have a look at the text on screen. It's so sharp. Everything's so sharp. It's so 3D. And once motion blur is getting involved, it looks much better. So it needs a little bit more love. Obviously, the shadows doesn't really connect with the letters, but I think that, when we are moving so fast, it's going to work. I've managed to solve the anchor over here. So let me just show you what I did really quickly. So I'm really cheating here. The anchor shadow is just this layer, which is the same layer as the sand. It's catching the shadow, and it's also hiding, of course, part of the anchor. I'll switch off the visibility of the 3D text. Yes, and there are like leftovers here, so you can see it's not perfect. But since I'm blocking it with this text, it looks quite decent, I think. So yeah, when we have everything combined together, what we need to do, and this is really important, we need to take this comp, which is this undistorted one, bring it back over here, and apply again the under where it was, distort. I'm taking the long way home here. Optics compensation, and then this is totally optional, but you can bring back the distortion again if you need to. So if you want to, let's just do reverse lens again, and you can bring it back to what it was before. If this is important, and in some cases it is important because it will look more, more natural. You can create a meme out of it. And what I'm doing with every time that I'm working on with these things, maybe I took it too far. I'm always using my birds rig, which is something that you can find for free on my YouTube channel. And this is just a comp that I've created with birds just passing by. So you can really quickly, using the essential properties panel, you can colorize this differently. And you have some control, so you can grab the birds and move them and make them, fewer or less birds. Let's just reduce the size. They're just going to accompany this with a few, additional, what I'm referring to as adding nature to nature, things which are moving. Probably I needed to create a adjustment layer on top of everything and then undistort or distort everything together. But look at the text here. It is really looking nice in terms of the distortion. Again, it brings After Effects on its knees to render everything, but I think it looks quite decent. So I'll switch over to your screen. I'll render it in the background, and then I'll show you the final result.
Okay, I mean, since Eran is plugging his birds rig, it's only fair to mention that I also have a birds rig. It's an Essex birds rig, so it's Essex women staggering drunkenly out of an Essex nightclub. So you can find that for free on my Gumroad. So, so here, basically, what I've done is, so I've done what I sort of showed you. I forgot to show you the rotoscope in the hand, which was actually ridiculously easy. Like you start. God love After Effects and the rotoring updates, because I selected it around here, and then it just no correction at all, just grabbed the rest of the hand, and it was so quick. So the easiest part of this, I would say, was definitely the rotoring. So I've rendered this out, but I'll just walk you through the project file. So we've got the. I split it into like two comps. So I've got the top three windows here, and as the hand swipes them, they sort of swipe off to the left. So you've got 1, 2, 3. This is where I want to talk a little bit about sound design, because I kind of realised as I animated that it was actually, if you look at the comp. Like I had to mask out each window, which was, they're pretty similar, but the perspective's different. I had to use CC slant to correct it a little bit. So if I turn off the motion blur, let's maybe do the third one. Okay. Without the CC slant, you've got the perspective from there. So there's not too much keyframing. I've adjusted the scale as well, so it just kind of widens as it scales off. I mean, it's quick. We're talking about over 10 frames, but like attention to detail like this is the difference between something that's sort of okay, or you can spot something that's like slightly wrong. Having motion blur on can help cover up, those slight imperfections. But then what I realised was I'm not going to do that for. Wait, hold on. Let me do the maths. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3 times 7. I'm not going to do that for 21 windows. As awesome as that would look. But this, the clean version of the rest of it, I just wiped it on underneath the hand, okay? Because like you've got the rotoed hand on top, and then you're just bringing the rest of the building on with like a simple mask, okay? It was only after I started this that I started thinking, well, this is where sound design can help elevate, lift, and actually kind of do a bit of heavy lifting in terms of what you're not seeing. Because actually the hand covers up all of the motion. If you've animated all of those windows sliding off, the windows on the, realistically, the windows on the right-hand side would be swiped and bump into the windows in the middle here, and then the other windows. And honestly, if the hand wasn't there, you could do a really nice animation and it would look great. But the hand's there, the hand's covering it up. So you've got this magician sleight of hand trick where the hand just wipes over them, right? So this is where, and my sound design is hacky and inept, and please get a professional sound designer involved if you're going to sort of work on this stuff. But I used Eran. Question for you and Thiago. Like, do you know Connect 4?
No.
The game? Do you mean the game where you?
Yeah, the game. Okay, so this game.
Oh
okay.
yeah, of course.
So this is me. So this is me recording the sound design, right? For these.
By the way, I don't think that you are sharing sound, Adam, from your machine.
Oh, Right. Do I need to reshare to share sound?
I
'Cause
think that you need to
I'll,
reshare. So once while you do it, I'll quickly run over my final product, and then you can reshare, and we'll return. And
yeah,
because it's really interesting, I want to see how you did it. So we'll
yeah.
switch quickly to my design, and if you can just, you know, reshare it with the sound, it will be awesome. And I'll talk you through what I did here. So basically, not talk you through, just play it for you, and you can see how this works. It's not perfect. Again, the limitations. My poor roto work definitely shows up, and the shadows are very noisy. Again, a limitation of the current After Effects renderer, the voxel renderer that needs to just, I don't know, walk through squares or boxes in in the frame. I hope, and between us, I think I know that Adobe is aware, and maybe they will fix it. Maybe they will switch to a different engine in the future, because this is like the main limitation. I really like the new advanced 3D renderer, but the shadows, the quality is really, it's to be honest, it's unacceptable. And if I will raise the quality in terms of make the shadow a bit more smooth, or I can't remember how they call it, soft. Let's just revisit the menu here. It's going to take so much time. So yeah, so smoothness. So you have this slider and can go up to, I don't know, up to explosion, I guess. And you can also double up the resolution and make it like better and better. And to be honest, I play with those values a lot, and I didn't get to a satisfactory result. In terms of render quality, I find out that between 8 to 10 is really working well for the 3D models themselves. But in terms of the shadows and all of this, I think it needs a little bit more love. And this is, of course, a love letter to Adobe. I'm not trying to criticize or to bash the application, especially not on its due day, right? But yeah, it can I think be better. So hopefully at some point we'll get better shadows. But yeah, this is the result that I've managed to come up with. And I'll switch back to Adam's screen, and I think that this will be our closure. So here we are back. Let me see and hear your audio design.
By the way, I desperately need to find a film clip now that covers Eran being dissatisfied with whatever it is he's presenting. So, by the way, when you tune in next time, I will have that. So look forward to that. But yeah, I sort of it's interesting. I think a lot of the time sound design is overlooked by motion designers, and even if you're not collaborating with a sound designer, and even if you're doing your own thing, it can really help elevate an animation or an idea, or like in this case, I like filling the gaps. So yeah, so you saw the sort of the clips of me using Connect 4. So I kind of thought, as I started working on this, I was just like, well, there's going to be some sound, as they're swiping off. So I'll use the Connect 4 sound. So it's a little bit of an in joke for anyone who knows Connect 4. But what it does is it covers, it basically means that I don't have to do any animation in that last swipe. So I'll play the clip, and Eran, this should have audio.
We hear the audio, it's fine.
So, like, what the like using the Connect 4 like sound effects. Like once you set that up with the first three, the swiping the rest of them, it's a lot more pleasing when you watch it, because you're kind of imagining it. Your brain is like sort of making that leap, and it just saves you a hell of a lot of work, because like manually swiping those windows across is really tough.
I think it came out great, and it's unbelievable the amount of contribution audio has to any video piece. So whatever you're doing, my advice to you will be always add some audio, even a rough mix, a sound effect, whatever. Again, with the new version of Premiere Pro that I think shipped today as well, you get like 25,000 free sound effect in the essential sound. So there's no
Wow.
excuses to do this, to not do this actually. And I think that what you came up with, I mean, you know, it almost felt like Jurassic Park when they recorded the dinosaur, but
Do you know,
much better.
that's the first time I've been compared to Spielberg, and it won't be the last. It won't be the last. So actually,
Amazing.
speaking of Jurassic Park, here's a tip. I was listening to the making of Mad Max Fury Road, and George Miller actually got in touch with Steven Spielberg. He was talking about, because he was working on Happy Feet while he was working on Mad Max. For those of you who are into films, and he asked him how he did it, because he basically did Schindler's List and Jurassic Park at the same time, and he said, "How do you do it? How do you work on two projects at the same time?" And Steven Spielberg said, treat one project as a break from the other. Okay, and that's actually a really good tip. I think that's a good tip for motion design as well. You know, like if you've got more than one project on the go, just have, you know, it helps if they're tonally different, or you know they have, there's different techniques involved or whatever. But have, you know, you can jump on one project and you're sort of, you know, you're full steam and you're focused on that. And then the other one is a break from the other one, and you know, a little productivity tip from Steven Spielberg for you.
A Kiss of Love. This is Steven Spielberg saying you need to add something which is unnecessary, and maybe just you and the editor will see it, but it's a kiss of love. And next time I'll show you a few examples of this. I used to show it to my students. One really known example of kiss of love is the indicator in Back to the Future when the DeLorean just, you know, swivel and turn in the air. It's so unnecessary to do the left indicator when it's turning left in the air, but it's there. And this is like, you know, the perfect example of kiss of love, and, you know, some you know, add some audio sound bites and anytime. And I think that this is it for now. We are just 20 minutes past, but you know, this is London, this is our tube times, so we are allowed to be late. And next time we're going to do a bit more preparation, so hopefully we'll manage to squeeze all the knowledge within 1 hour. We are aiming, we are still doing a running show, so, you know, apologizing for those of you who are suffering. But any like goodbye, farewell words from you, Adam, before we are going to end this wonderful broadcast?
I don't think anyone's still watching. I think people have already gone. They're watching the football now.
Oh,
And
definitely.
unless they're interested in very inane film trivia from me, I think they've already left us. But yeah, I mean, I also can't promise to get everything I want done in an hour. I mean, Iran, you might be able to. Iran's more professional than me. I will get done what I can in the time, and then I will go to my pre-prepared files. Always.
Yeah, we no, I don't. I think that you have your skills. Anyhow, thank you so much for the compliment. Thank you everyone for sticking with us until the end. Chen and Rosa might. I'm probably destroying your name, and there are a few more from India, from Israel. Thank you so much. We so appreciate that you are tuning in with us. It means the world for us, and we'll hopefully we'll aim to do this bi-weekly. So we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Tiago, anything we left on the floor and you want to pick up and say before we left? We are leaving.
No, great work, both of you. You look great. Well
We
done.
look great.
Well,
This is what's important. We look great. So
Look great.
and we learned something.
Yeah.
And we learned something, which is important. There's always it's about the knowledge. So I think I've learned something. So hopefully everyone pick up some tips and tricks as well along the way.
yeah, so we'll end up with this little bit.
Brilliant!
And we're going to say goodbye. So bye-bye, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next
Bye,
time.
everyone. Bye.